Hey everybody, it's Saturday, July 5th, 2008. Thanks for stopping by and happy Independence Day to everybody. A little bit late. I've got another book here to review for you that I just got finished reading. Now, I recently read History of Modern Palestine by Ilan Pappe, and excellent book. And I just finished reading this book, also by Ilan Pappe, The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine. And on the cover here, you'll notice there's a picture of some people, refugees, walking. There's something you'll notice in this picture. There are no men. There's women, there's children, there's one old man towards the back, but that's it. There's no military-aged men in this picture, and that's very significant. Now, what this book talks about, it talks about how in 1947 and 1948, the Zionist movement, when the British decided to end the British mandate of Palestine and pull out of the area, the Zionist movement took over with the knowledge of the British Army, and they drove out the Palestinian population for the most part. There were a few people that managed to stay, but it was a very difficult thing. It was a precarious position to stay there at all. Now, you might not believe this. You might think I'm making this up. You might think Ilan Pappe is making this up. But, if you think that, then I'd like to ask you, how can you create a homeland for the Jewish people in an area that is populated by 1 million Arabs without ethnic cleansing? How can you do that? Palestine was not an empty area. It was an area that was populated by 1 million Arabs. And, if you can figure out how to create an exclusive Jewish homeland in that area without ethnic cleansing, then you're a heck of a lot smarter than David Ben-Gurion was, because he couldn't figure out how to do it. Now, the Zionist movement, when they first started, that was their ideology, to create an exclusive Jewish homeland in Palestine. And, from the beginning, Theodor Herzl, who was the founder of Zionism, he envisioned ethnic cleansing. He envisioned that there would be some sort of transfer of the indigenous population. Now, not all Zionists agreed with this. There were people who did not want to commit ethnic cleansing or to force people to leave, but that they ended up having to go along with it. There was no way to do it. The plans of gradually buying land and of encouraging immigration was just way too slow. Between 1878 and 1947, they had tried to gradually buy land and gradually encourage immigration, and they were still a small minority of the population, and they only owned about I think it was about 6% of the land, 7%, something like that. So it was just not going to work that way, and so they had to, in order to fulfill their ideology, get rid of the people in the area and take over that land. There was no other choice. Now, I'd like to read you a couple of passages from this book. One of the passages talking about David Ben-Gurion's idea for ethnic cleansing. These operations can be carried out in the following manner: either by destroying villages, by setting fire to them, by blowing them up, and by planting mines in the rubble, and especially those population centers that are difficult to control permanently, or by mounting combing and control operations according to the following guidelines: encirclement of the villages, conducting a search inside them, In case of resistance, the armed forces must be wiped out and the population expelled outside the borders of the state. Of course, this changed somewhat. The case of armed resistance was not necessary for the people to be expelled outside the state. If the village was captured, it was expelled outside the state, no matter what. Okay, let's see. Then there was another one. Okay, this is talking about the panicked flight of the villagers from Haifa after a lot of terrorism and a lot of killing. The people picked up everything and left immediately. Let's see. When these orders were executed promptly within the 1.5 square kilometers where thousands of Haifa's defenseless Palestinians were still residing, the shock and terror were such that, without packing any of their belongings or even knowing where they were going, people began leaving en masse. In panic, they headed toward the port where they hoped to find a ship or a boat to take them away from the city. As soon as they had fled, Jewish troops broke in and looted their houses. When Golda Meir, one of the senior Zionist leaders, visited Haifa a few days later, she at first found it hard to suppress a feeling of horror. When she entered homes where cooked food still stood on the tables, children had left toys and books on the floor, and life appeared to have frozen in an instant. Meir had come to Palestine from the U.S., where her family had fled in the wake of pogroms in Russia, and the sights she witnessed that day reminded her of the worst stories her family had told her about the Russian brutality against Jews decades earlier. But this apparently left no lasting mark on her or her associates' determination to continue with the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. Okay, so she was horrified, and I was horrified reading this book. It's pretty shocking. Okay, and then let's see, one more passage. On the night of the 22nd, 23rd May, the Jews attacked from three sides and landed in boats from the seaside. We resisted in the streets and houses, and in the morning the corpses were seen everywhere. I shall never forget this day all my life. The Jews gathered all women and children in a place where they dumped all bodies, for them to see their dead husbands, fathers, and brothers and terrorize them, but they remained calm. They gathered men in another place, took them in groups, and shot them dead. When women heard this shooting, they asked their Jewish guard about it. He replied, "We are taking revenge for our dead." One officer selected 40 men and took them to the village square. Each 4 were taken aside. They shot one and ordered the other 3 to dump his body in a big pit. Then they shot another and ordered the other 2 carried his body to the pit, and so on. Okay, this is pretty shocking stuff. It sort of reminds me of the Holocaust, reading about the Holocaust, because of the brutality and the callousness towards the people. Of course, it's not the same thing as the Holocaust. The Holocaust was much bigger and more organized, but the basic, the basic attitude is the same. It's very callous, very brutal towards the people who don't have much defense. They do have a little bit of defense here and there, but it's certainly not up to the task of confronting the Haganah or the Irgun or the Stern Gang. The Jewish forces were far superior. So anyway, this book, if you want to get more detail on the ethnic cleansing that happened, this is the book to read. If you want to just know the history, the history of modern Palestine is a good book. And let me say again, I'm not advocating anti-Semitism. I'm not advocating that violence. I disapprove of terrorism and suicide bombing, and I will condemn it, but I will also condemn state-sponsored violence like the oppression of the Palestinians or the illegal occupation of their territories. I will also condemn that. And I will condemn racism against Jews and Arabs and anybody else. I'm not going to sign up for any of that. And so anyway, check out the book, and if you don't believe me, read the book. If you don't think that this book is accurate, tell me another book that I can read that will be more accurate. Thanks for watching.